Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hello, I'm Chuck Carroll. Thank you so very much for watching and downloading in more than 150 countries around the world and making the Exam Room one of the most consumed nutrition podcasts anywhere on the planet today. And today we have a remarkable story to tell. And we're joined by a very special guest who somehow turned a PhD in industrial and systems engineering into a thriving career as somebody who is doing a bang-up job spreading the importance of proper nutrition and healing with food. And with that, we welcome Dr. Ruby Lathon to the Exam Room for the first time. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think we need to start with the PhD in industrial and systems engineering, to be honest with you. Before we get into your incredible story, how in the world did you go from that to being just this incredible voice in the plant-based movement?
Right. It was a journey. Definitely wasn't the intent. I started in the bachelor's in computer science. I love that. Working at a national lab, so it was going well. But I can't say I was super excited about working in defense at the time. And I was kind of like looking for a way out, something a little more satisfying. And that's when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So that's where this journey from engineering to nutrition started right there.
How old were you, if you don't mind my asking?
Sure.
When you got that diagnosis?
I think 35.
Young, very young.
Yeah.
Okay, must have really taken you back there.
I was shocked. Yeah, I was totally not, even after having the test done, I was like, I'm sure I don't have that. So yeah, it was scary and it was shocking.
What took you to the doctor in the first place? What were the symptoms?
I didn't have any symptoms. I had a routine exam and I had a really good doctor and she just felt with my neck and thought it felt lumpier than before, which I don't know how she remembered from the year before, but that we should take another look at it because just a few years before we had done an ultrasound just to check because it felt a little lumpy and there was nothing really alarming. So this time, so let's check again, and there were new things there. And that's what caused us to do a biopsy and check it out.
Wow. Is cancer something that runs in your family at all?
Not really. My aunt, who I'm actually named after, did have breast cancer. So that was always something I was like, make sure we check for that, healthy. But not really. It's not something that had been, something to look out for.
So what was the treatment plan that you were given?
Yeah, the treatment plan was to remove the thyroid and then just start on thyroid medication.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that. So that's really what kicked off the journey to holistic health because, it's something you can't get off of. It's non-negotiable once you take out your thyroid. You have to have thyroid hormone. And so I was like, I really don't want to be dependent on medication for the rest of my life.
Right.
I thought I was living my life in a way that I wouldn't be dependent because I had seen like my grandmother really deal with diabetes and having to give herself insulin shots. And I was someone who's like, I never want to get that. I never want to be dependent upon a medication. And now this. And I was like, I don't think so. I'm not going that route.
Yeah. And at 35, I mean, that you still have your whole life ahead of you.
Right.
You're on that for a lifetime. Right. I mean,
right.
That's a lot of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I said, there's got to be another way.
I know. And you are like, you strike me. I think anybody that pursues a doctoral degree, like is curious and loves to learn. So I would imagine like as scared of the diagnosis perhaps as you were, you may have enjoyed diving into the research and trying to find a healthier way forward.
I did like research. I mean, because I had been a research engineer. I was working in reliability analysis and things like that, optimizing weapon systems. So I'm really good at research. So I just became my own research project. So I was like, I know how to do this. I know how to dig into the journal articles. I know how to separate, anecdotal information from factual. So I'm just going to dig in and figure it out.
Where did you start?
I started on the internet. I started searching, but then I found this location that teaches you how to use food as medicine. This place called Uchee Pines in Alabama, and I grew up in Alabama, so I was familiar with it already. And I was like, I'm going to go there. And so 3 weeks after the diagnosis, I was there. I was like, we had an opening then, and I was like, this is what I need to really just get immersed
Mhm.
in actually application. And until then, I was just researching every day, like online, pulling up articles, scheduling, appointments for second opinions and that kind of thing.
But the Uchi Pines, like I feel like I should have heard of like all of the food as medicine places by now. This is a new one.
Yeah, yeah, it's affiliated with the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and so they have a few locations. And so I know people who'd gone there before, and I was like, this is where I'm gonna go.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a plant-based facility that uses all holistic modalities. It was very immersive. I learned a lot in 3 weeks. I stayed there for about 21 days, and just learned tons.
So were you open-minded to the holistic approach before going down there? Like, were you kind of like crunchy in the closet about it, and a little hippie-ish?
Not a little bit. I would say a little bit, but because I was just like anti-medication, I didn't like to take anything. I barely took aspirin if I had a headache or something. It's just like I didn't want to take anything into my body that I didn't think was really natural. So I was kind of there, but this was like full jump in both feet.
Next level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
How much did you think about food before that, and the whole notion that food is medicine?
I really wasn't thinking about it that way. I was thinking about, I did grow up with primarily a vegetarian diet. So my take on it was, I know that it's a healthier way, obviously, but I didn't really see it as like preventive medicine and things like that. I just thought this is a better way, and I don't want to kill animals. So,
Right.
this is good,
Yeah.
so that's what really kept me on it as well. And it was, just religiously growing up as in the Adventist church, it was encouraged. So that was another reason, to stick with it and thinking that this is a healthier lifestyle.
So what did you discover specifically as you were Googling and pulling up these research articles prior to going down to Alabama? What did you discover in terms of the connection between diet and thyroid?
Quite a bit. I mean, the everything that we take in is going to either help upregulate or downregulate our thyroid. So I started with more cancer in the beginning, just like what causes cancer, what could cause thyroid cancer, radiation and things like that, and looking up nutrients that could help get rid of radiation, like mushrooms and things like that, mushroom extracts and things of that nature. So that's really what I started with. I started with more of a broad brush, like, okay, why did I get this start?
Yeah.
I was very much focused on how did I get this? And then what diets or what natural things will work, because I was open to everything. I tried a lot of crazy things. So I didn't have an agenda. It was like, whatever works, works.
Right on. You tried a lot of. Do you care to mention any of those crazy things, or is that an off-air discussion?
I can mention one I think that I wouldn't do now. So like I said, I met with lots of doctors, chiropractors, naturopaths, several. I mean, I think I've met with like any type of doctor
Hmm.
I met with.
Right on.
So one of them said I was low on iron and I should take placenta, uh, human placenta, and it comes in capsules. And yeah, to build the blood. So that's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried that, but I was like, upon further research, there are other ways.
That's a showstopper. Oh my goodness gracious! I tried placenta. Okay.
Yeah, because it's very rich in lots of, things your blood needs, but there are other ways to build the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I found.
Yeah.
And I did, run that by some other natural folks. They were like, you might not want to do that one. So after I had already been doing it, so.
I can't imagine.
Um,
Can you go on Amazon and like get placenta supplements?
It's through a naturopath who orders it, I think from like Asian markets or something like that. It's the thing of, a blood builder. So I don't know that you can just get it on Amazon. I haven't looked recently.
Wow. Okay. Hey, look, you are a brave soul for admitting that. I did not even realize that was a therapy that people explored.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I was open to whatever worked.
Right. And you found, well, no, look, I mean, you just got a cancer diagnosis, so you can't be judged for, you can't judge you or anybody else,
Yeah.
when you're facing something as serious as cancer. So
Hmm.
at the time, you do what you feel like you got to do.
Right. Right. I was like, it made sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So when I tried everything, so like I said, there are many other little things, but that's probably the farthest one out. But yeah, so then I was like, now what I found it going back to your question about what I found in the research was everything that I was pulling up in terms of like reversing or kind of like treating cancer was plant-based. It
Mhm.
was talking about the nutrients and, garlic and green leafy vegetables and all the things. I didn't find anything that said I should be eating eggs or meat or beef or anything like that. It was everything that I was saying that was healing was on the plant-based side.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm open to the research, and the research is showing me that that is the way to go.
So when you began eating that plant-based diet, was day one the first day that you set foot down at that center in Alabama?
It is because I was like, when I mentioned about, eating, primarily vegetarian, I wasn't eating necessarily for health because I was eating a lot of, packaged food, processed food. I was traveling a lot. And the day before I went, I knew we were going to eat extra healthy there.
Mhm.
I was at a friend's house and we were eating Oreos and Doritos. This is the last
Got to
meal.
do your binge. You got to. I remember my last meal too. It's like 18 inches of cheesesteak and a bucket of fries. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was it. That was like, and that's like not a good idea
Uh,
to start that way, but that's what, and I was like, I mentioned that because my knowledge of nutrition is like 1,000-fold since then.
Sure.
Because obviously, I mean, those are the worst things you could eat. Well, not the worst, but among the worst things when you're trying to heal naturally.
right, right.
Yeah.
But the majority of people don't know that. I mean,
Right.
there's such a huge disconnect.
Right. And that's where I started right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So were you surprised at like how quickly your body was able to adapt, your palate was able to adapt to this healthier way of eating?
I was, because the cheese was the big thing because like I said, I was mostly vegetarian anyway. I had, I was like, I dabbled with meat in college. That was
Mhm.
my big experimentation phase.
I dabbled with meat in college.
Chicken, I was like, I realized I didn't like it. So,
Yeah.
so this is like a few months of trying that. For me, the big change was the cheese, dairy, because
yeah.
dairy is in everything. So, I'd go to restaurants, I could eat anywhere. I'm going to have the cheese lasagna or the cheese ravioli or, the beans with cheese. It's always going to have. So that was the big thing for me. And I didn't think I would be able to really get over that craving for cheese. But it took like just cutting it off altogether for like, 30 days to actually lose the taste for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I tried it a little bit after, and I was like, I don't even like this anymore.
Mm-mm. No, it's amazing. And I think about that too. Like if I were to go back to the drive-through now, go to Taco Bell, like would I still enjoy it the way that I once did? I can't imagine. I
You
would probably
can't.
think it's gross.
With the knowledge you have, you can't really enjoy it
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
because you just know this isn't, ignorance is bliss in a way. So now that you know, you can't enjoy it the same because for me, it took reprogramming my mind about what I thought real food was
Yeah.
for me to not, crave it mentally.
Hmm.
So it's like one part of craving cheese is physical because there is a physical, as we know,
Oh, of course.
addiction to it. But the other part is the mental thinking, growing up thinking it's healthy, the milk is healthy, this is healthy. And then actually reprogramming those thoughts with, no, it's highly inflammatory. It's not food for humans. It's
Mhm.
full of estrogens. It's full of pus and other things. So I would kind of mentally play that through whenever I would have the feeling of like, oh, I want some cheese or dairy product.
Yeah.
So it's really like reprogramming with actual facts as opposed to the programming that we've been taught through commercials and everything else.
Side note, speaking of actual facts, I literally just learned on a recent episode of the show. I was speaking with Dr. Christy Funk to kick off our Let's Beat Breast Cancer campaign. And we were talking about dairy. And she said, did you know that by law, you can have up to 2% pus in your milk? Like,
Yeah.
and I joked that day. I was like, well, that's not the 2% people are going to buy when they're getting milk. It's like 2%. That's a lot of,
That's
like,
a lot.
yeah,
And it's naturally going to be in there because of the way we do factory farming.
yeah.
It's inevitable.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's nasty, is what it
It's
is.
quite gross. And if I think if people knew more of those facts, they wouldn't have the love affair with cheese and dairy as we, yeah, Western
Yeah.
America does.
So, fun question then. 30 days for your palate to change. What are some of the newer types of foods that you may have discovered down there that you're like, hey, this is pretty good?
Yeah, yeah. So I stopped. Well, one of the big things is I stopped using the microwave because I was like, well, that's one of the things I learned. I was like, that's not good. So now back to natural cooking, regular cooking. I don't think there was anything like brand new, but it was more the amount and just getting back into
Mm,
the greens, like the parsley and seeing parsley and cilantro as healers as
mhm,
opposed to garnish.
mhm.
So now I'm gonna have a parsley salad with cucumbers, which is not something I would have done before because we see it as the garnish that you put on the side. But it's a blood cleanser. Both cilantro and parsley help cleanse blood, heavy metals, and things like that. So it's good to have those all the time. And they're higher in, things that help build the blood to build your iron and things like that naturally.
You a fan of cilantro? Or you like one of that,
I
like,
love cilantro.
okay. Yeah, you don't have that. It tastes like
No,
so
no, no, my sister has that. But I love cilantro. So garlic was the thing that I came back with. I was eating like 8 cloves of garlic a day.
Oof.
So some steamed, some fresh. So I started making like pates with garlic and almonds and lemon and parsley so I could get it in a more pleasant way.
Yeah.
Or I would just smash it up with like flaxseed oil on like whole grain bread to eat it that way. But yeah, so lots of garlic every day for a year.
I mean, you're dropping that, like coming back, making pate, like stuff like that. Have you always been like talented in the kitchen? Did you enjoy cooking?
I learned from my mom, so just I remember kind of moving, getting ready to go to college and moving out. I was like, I need to watch what she's doing. I
Yeah.
need to cook for myself.
Yeah.
So I was always in tune and I would help her cook. So I just learned from watching her.
Mm.
And then when it was time, so yeah, I could cook pretty well, not like expert level, but I was competent. I could cook dinner for people to come over and enjoy it. So at that point, it was like, how do I make this healthy food taste good? Because this is going to be a lifestyle
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
choice. And not everything I had at UT Pines was great because they were like, this is therapeutic, drink this, eat that. It's
Yeah.
like I'm trying to choking some of it down. But I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that forever.
Mm.
So let's figure out how to make it palatable,
Yeah.
but, therapeutic at the same time.
And how did your perception of what the future looked like change as you began to learn about this? Even if you had to choke down some of the food
Mm-hmm.
down there, were you feeling more optimistic about your diagnosis?
I was absolutely because other people who had been there for a while were like talking about how much things were healing for them, and who had been there before I got there, so they were seeing, tumors starting to shrink. And so I was like, wow, that's awesome, and theirs are like way bigger than mine. So there was a woman like with a mouth tumor, and she was saying it was like half the size since she had been there, doing all the treatments, and I was like, that was encouraging. And so I was like, okay, if hers is that big, mine is a centimeter, 1.4 centimeters, it's going to be gone
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Let's jump to the finish line. I mean, clearly you're here, you're healthy, you're radiant. We're sitting up here joking. Like, walk us through that process. So, you go down there, you spend that month essentially.
Mhm.
And where do things stand at that point with the tumor?
So I went back and like it was a total of 3 months from the diagnosis. So I went back and the doctor was like, you can take your time, do whatever you want, and we'll schedule your surgery later
Mhm.
in the 4 months. So when I went back to check, I was going back to check. He was thinking I'm coming back to schedule. We did another ultrasound. Everything was the same. I was totally disappointed, shocked. I was like, I've changed so much in the last 3 months. No sugar. No, that was the other big thing besides dairy and eggs was sugar like getting rid
Sweet
of
tooth.
all, yeah, yeah, sugar. So that was, so I haven't eaten a sweet since that Oreo on day one. I had zero sugar. So, so at this point, the doc was like not happy with me. It was like, you need to go ahead and do the surgery. I was like, I'm going to give it another 3 months because I think there's more for me to do.
Yeah.
And so I started researching more. I was like, how did I get this? And, um, was able to do a scan for radioactive exposure,
Mm.
and there was some spikes here and there, and I felt like, well, that's probably the reason. That that kind of gave me comfort that that's probably why I got it. So I stopped focusing on why I got it, and totally just went to healing. So I started doing things that help release radiation from the body, like bentonite clay baths. And then the mushroom extracts and things that they used in like Chernobyl and things to help protect the thyroid. So I started doing that and then just kind of said, okay, now it's time to take a break because I literally was like studying every day, like for an exam, like
That's so exhausting.
it is.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have got to find the reason this has got to work. And then I started meeting with a friend of mine who was studying to be a naturopath. And she was like, you got to look at the spiritual side of this. It's not just the food, that's the foundation, right? But sometimes where you get sick is where you need to look. When you look at Ayurvedic medicine and things like that. So the thyroid was enlarged in addition to having the little tumor. And the doc said, if that keeps getting larger, you could, start going hoarse or it starts to interfere with your, speaking voice. Um, and it kind of dawned on me like, oh, maybe that's what I need to learn here.
Mm.
I need to learn to speak up because I'm the peacemaker, the middle child, the quiet. People who knew me before cancer and after cancer are like, who is this new person? Because I was super quiet, super slip in the back of the room, very demure, and sometimes that doesn't serve you when you need to speak up for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I decided that's what I needed to do. So I like quit all the volunteer stuff that I didn't want to do. I like volunteering, but I would say yes to things just out of feeling like I should,
Yep.
not because I wanted
Yep.
to, just the people pleaser.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to get out of everything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm quitting everything. I'm only doing what I want to do from here on out. And I took a little vacation to Mexico at a friend's condo. And while I was there by myself at the beach, it came to me that I was like, you're taking too much, because I was taking everything. It was like, you're doing too much. You need to kind of whittle this down into more manageable things. And it came to me like, when we're dealing with cancer, we need to take some things that directly attack cancer, but we also need to build the immune system. And then I'm also dealing with inflammation. So let's just look at things in those three categories. You don't have to take everything in each of those categories. Let's get this down to a manageable set of things. Yeah. And so that's what I did. I was like, okay, in this category, I'm already taking like 5 things. I don't need that redundancy. So again, taking the engineering mindset and re-engineering my plan, I came back with a new plan. I was like, this is going to work now. And I also leaned into the spiritual side of it and started meditating and visualizing my healing and looking at, where I needed to focus. And like I said, quit everything I didn't want to quit, including my job. Everything I didn't want to do, I quit. So
You quit the job. I mean,
yeah.
You found the spiritual side. That's quite the leap of faith.
Yes, it was. And because I was working with we started an engineering firm. I was a partner. I was like, I don't, this isn't really working for me. So I quit. But they worked it out that I would, be paid while I was on my leave of healing. So I always say when you take a leap of faith, things appear.
Yeah.
And that's what happened because I didn't really have a plan. It was very impulsive when I quit. So
Yeah, I would say so.
yeah, and it worked out. And so I started doing things like renovating, houses at a facility that for people who were coming from alcohol and drug abuse, because I really wanted to do that. So I was like, these are things I want to do. And then I'm taking charge. I got a new doctor who wouldn't give me very negative feedback, but just monitor the progress. And I was like, I'm in control of this. I'm going to go back when I feel ready and healed.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So first I noticed the thyroid shrunk. I was looking at my charts. So I said, it's working. It's working. Now my thyroid is back to its normal size. And then it had been a year and I said, okay, it's time to go back because I had mentally said I'm going to give myself a year. And if it doesn't work, I'll reconsider surgery. But at least then I can go into it knowing I had done everything I could do. So I went back to the doc, said, let's do another ultrasound. It was still, the tumor was still there. And I was like, I can't, I was like, let's do another biopsy because I think it's gone. Because in my mind, I had healed myself through visualization so many times. I was like, there's no way I still have it. I stopped even saying I had it because I mentally saw myself. Well, so we did the biopsy and did every little nodule they could find. It's like, I think about 20 little nodules. And came back the next week. There was no cancer
Wow.
in any nodule.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was the doctor shocked?
No, he was, I thought I was getting bad news because he was not happy. He didn't lead with that. He didn't start with that. He went through every little nodule. So I thought the bad news was coming at the end.
Yeah.
And we got to the last page and he's like, so there's no cancer. I'm going to have to change your diagnosis because you no longer have cancer. But he was saying it as if he was giving me bad news. It was the weirdest thing. So I said, okay, and he cautioned, you should have the surgery anyway because it could come back. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and take my new chart and get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit concerning. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but if the problem no longer exists, why would you fix it? Something that isn't even broken at that. I don't know.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
So I left
Yeah.
and had a big wellness party that weekend because that's something else I was visualizing.
Heck yeah.
And just celebrated. So that was, the beginning of like doing a career change because I was trying to figure out what am I going to do now because I don't really want to do defense work anymore. So I've got to figure out a new career path for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly, I mean, you have this life metamorphosis. You become this butterfly. No longer in the back of the room, shy, quiet. For the goodness sakes, this quiet. I'm combining words. This shy, quiet woman put out a cookbook called "Stop Playing, Go Vegan." I mean, come on. Like, who does that? Not a quiet person, not a shy person. How did we get from that to this?
Right. It was part of that growth of finding my voice, literally. Like, quitting wasn't something I would have done before cancer. Wearing red all the time wasn't something I did before cancer.
Yeah.
It was like going from, more muted tones to, oh, it's okay to be seen. It's safe to be seen. And I'm supposed to be seen. This is my purpose.
Yeah.
I felt like I found my purpose and I needed to follow that path. So it was just that year of change, not only diet, but just the way that I approached everything.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So what was your entry into, all right, well, let's start here. Like, because now you've got a program, you've got this great website, you've done so many TV appearances, you coach people, you got the cookbook. Like, how did this version 2.0, like, where did it start?
Actually, it started at Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So my first non-engineering job was at PCRM. And that was because I found a position that was looking for a nutrition policy manager. And I was like, this is my job. When I saw the description, I was like, this is for me. This has my name written all over it. I was like, how am I going to make this transition? So I was working with the career coach and I was like, how do I do this? And I was like, let's look at how we transfer your skills. And there were things like lobbying. I was like, oh, I've done that through all the volunteer stuff. I pretty much did a little bit of everything. I was like, oh, I've done that. And nutrition, I've been studying that for a year. and applying it to myself. So I'm very well versed in plant-based diets and the healing properties of plant-based diets. So everything there, I was like, I have this skill set just in a different way. And so
Yeah.
I wrote a really great cover letter.
I was just thinking, I was like, I bet that was one heck of a cover letter. Yeah.
I think it's the best cover letter I've ever written. And I literally stopped PCRM until I found people. I applied the regular way, but I know I sent my video resume to Neil. And then I got a call and I was like, oh, I have an interview. If I have the interview, I have the job. That's always been my motto.
Yeah.
So I knew I had the job.
Well done.
So I was living in Albuquerque. I had the interview. I came back and started packing up my house.
Nice.
Well before I
You
got
just
the
knew.
job offer. I knew. It was like a 2-day working interview. I was like, oh, I killed it.
They were doing the working interviews all the way back then. They
Yeah.
continue, Ruby, to this day. Yeah. Okay.
Two-day working interview, and it was great. I felt part of the team. I was like, I've got the job. I found my apartment. I started packing up, and now it's like 3 days before the movers are coming, and I still hadn't got the job offer. I was like, but I couldn't find anything else I wanted to do. Every time I looked for another job, I was sad. I just couldn't do it. I was like, this is my job.
Yeah.
And so I got the call in the afternoon. I was like, oh, thank God. Now I could move with full peace. And so, yeah, I packed up and moved to DC, and that was my first entry into non-engineering work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about another leap of faith. I mean, my goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
That was a
You're
leap.
just putting it all on the line here, girl.
I can be impulsive.
Yeah.
So that was but with reason, because I just felt it in my bones. I was like, this is for me. And it was the same way I felt when I got the diagnosis that I should do something different.
Yeah.
It was a gut feeling that I could not ignore. It was very loud and was like, I got to do this.
So working here, I'm sure opened a lot of doors.
Good.
And, when did you decide like you wanted to move on from, the policy side of things into, helping people one-on-one, putting out cookbooks again, becoming, Ruby Lathon?
Right. Yeah. So I learned a ton while working, at PCRM. And then I was working in my church as like their health leader. And so I was helping people informally. Then I started working with a holistic physician. And he started referring people to me. I was like, well, I need to get my certification in this. I make sure I'm not missing anything.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And then that just started growing naturally. So just, from speaking at church events and then helping people. And then I just started, hosting events like plant-based brunches, jazz brunches. And I started growing my list and just getting out there because it's what I love to do. And so it just really grew organically. So once I got the certification, I started seeing clients, individually, and everything just grew.
Can we rewind there? Did you say a plant-based jazz brunch?
Yes.
What? How did I not get an invitation to this?
Those are so fun. Yeah, we would do monthly brunches, and so at a juice bar and art gallery setting. So the guys there, they were traditional chefs, but they were like, we can take on this challenge. So I would give them ideas and recipes, and they were great. And I brought the crowd, and they hosted, and we had great music, and it was a lot of fun. So I met so many people just from doing that.
Right on. You a jazz head? You like the jazz?
I like jazz. I wouldn't say I'm a huge connoisseur, but I do like jazz.
Yeah, jazz is all right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's a detour. But yeah, so, I mean, things just clearly, I mean, they really just blossomed for you so great. You were in What the Health, correct?
Right.
And then more recently, They're Trying to Kill Us.
Right.
And like you've become like this powerhouse of a name here in our movement, Ruby. Like that's just awesome. Like
Yeah.
you take that leap of faith. I mean, that's a gamble that paid off many times over.
Right. It's just, when this is what you're supposed to do, you just do it. It's like, because there have been times I'm like, maybe I should just go back and get a different job or something. Because it hasn't always been easy. But it's like, this is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. This is what I would do for free if I could.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where that motto, find something you like to do and you'll never work a day in your life come from,
Exactly.
Do you get the same kind of satisfaction as I do in helping people? Now, granted, my job is just to ask questions, but the greatest reward that I get is when people say, thank you so much. because I listened to your show, I learned this and my health improved in this way. And I mean, sometimes these transformations are so radical. Like it is
Yeah.
incredible.
It's great. It's super rewarding. I still get emails from somebody who's saying, "Oh, I met with you 8 years ago, and you helped me with, my brother, and he's doing great now. This whole cancer is gone, brain cancer is gone." And because I
Brain
don't
cancer.
always
Wow.
hear back from people until later, and I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." Yeah, a brain tumor gone.
Wow.
Um, I hear that from people all the time that, "Oh, you changed my life when you did that talk at this church, and this and that." And most of my business is referral. Like I haven't done advertising because so many people just refer me to other people. So, and then I, have a presence online, and so they find me that way.
Mhm.
So it's incredibly rewarding because sometimes I forget until people come back and say,
Yeah.
you did this. And, and even with kids, like having ADHD symptoms, and we changed their diet, got rid of all the sugar and the food colorings, and then 2 or 3 weeks they were a different child.
Yeah.
And they're like, that just changed everything. They're doing better in school. So it's great. It's knowing that I am, helping people that some I've never met,
Mhm.
but just watching videos or hearing my story or doing because they had the faith now to do what's in their heart to do.
For sure.
It's great.
It doesn't surprise me that some of your clients come after seeing you speak at a church. I think that in terms of reaching a community and really tapping into the power for change and health, a church can be one of the best places for that
Mhm.
to start.
Right.
And I'm always wondering, why aren't more people working in the faith community to trying to champion on, a healthier lifestyle, a healthier diet,
Yeah. That's a good question. I know in a lot of churches, they do things like the Daniel fast, and a lot of people start there,
Mhm.
where that's a plant-based fast, where you're getting rid of sugars and obviously meat and things like that. So some churches are doing that, but it is something that we need to be doing a lot more
Mhm.
of.
For sure.
And I have worked with PCR, has some outreach to churches in DC that I've been working with.
Good.
And they've been very receptive. We've been doing Food for Life cooking classes. I have a catering company or meal delivery service. We also do catering. So we've been catering those events, and they love the food. They really love the food.
Yeah, let's talk about that catering service. Ruby Red's Vegan.
Mhm.
All right, what kind of foods are we serving up here?
So, of course, it's all plant-based. It's also organic, because that's how I eat. Reduced pesticide residue is good when you're dealing with cancer or anything. But it's healthy, whole food. So it's healthy food that tastes really good. So a lot of the recipes are recipes I would recommend for my clients who are, trying to recover from diabetes or, kidney issues or cancer. So it's very tasty food. A lot of them are my recipes, and then I curate other recipes as well.
Yeah, I see this. I'm looking at the menu for the week of October 5th.
Right.
Barbecue chicken and mushroom sandwich and greens.
Right.
Okay, so let's look at this, right? I've never thought of a barbecue chicken, and we're going to
Right.
put that in quotes there, just to be clear. Your ingredients here: mushrooms, soy flour, onions, barbecue sauce. Then you've got paprika, the mixed green salad, gluten-free bun available upon request.
Yeah.
Put on your nutrition nerd hat. Tell me, how is that going to fuel somebody's body?
Yeah, that's gonna be great. And so I chose the soy flour because it's just soy flour. There's no extra junk in it.
Yeah.
But we want some more protein for people who are, and they need more fuel.
Mhm.
So that's there, the perfect, all the essential amino acids. A lot of mushrooms are very healing, very filling as well. It gives it a nice texture. And then onions and seasonings, of course.
100.
And then we always like to do fresh greens on the side, so you're getting a nice balance there. So that's a meal that's going to be like, oh, this doesn't taste healthy, but it actually is, you know?
It doesn't taste healthy, but it actually is. No, I get what you. No, I know. It took me a second. I was like, no, I know exactly what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. You
Right.
wouldn't think a chicken sandwich.
Right. Meaning,
What
like, you
taste of it,
think
yeah.
you associate that with junk food, like,
Right.
you're not supposed to have this.
Right.
But this is healthy food that tastes good.
No, I'll tell you what. I'm noticing a barbecue theme here. I'm a barbecue lover.
This
So the
week there
barbecue
is,
chickpea
yeah,
and corn
barbecue
mixed green
chickpeas.
salad.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, that also
yeah,
looks really good.
yeah.
But then the West African peanut soup. Now,
Right.
this is a one seed right here, my friend.
Mhm.
This is what's up. Let's talk about the good stuff in here. A little bit of peanut butter, sweet potatoes, onion, garlic, vegetable broth, tomatoes, collards or chard. You've got some bay leaves, some paprika, some ginger, coriander, chili pepper, rosemary, cinnamon, sea salt, and cracked pepper. What that is deliciousness in a
Okay. That's one of my favorite. I love peanut butter, but so that's one of my favorite soups, I have
yeah,
to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Another nourishing thing, especially now that the weather theoretically should be getting a little bit cooler. Theoretically,
Yeah.
and that vegan risotto, asparagus, and mushroom, like all good things. All
Right.
good things.
Right. I
So
have some really talented chefs that help and refine those recipes. So,
we'll put a link down in the show description and in the episode notes so people can go ahead and check this out. You deliver
that's
around
in
the,
the
the
DC area.
DMV.
Yes,
Yeah.
within 40 miles in Baltimore included, but
Okay.
DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Would you be able to come down to Southern Maryland? It is within 40 miles.
If it's 40 miles,
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have some great drivers.
Like
So.
Waldorf area?
Oh, yeah, we definitely do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
That's
deals.
at 40 miles.
Yeah. All right. Check that out. Ruby Red's vegan. But I'm also excited for those of you who want to do the home game is this here plant-based cookbook. Stop playing, go vegan.
Right.
I love that. Why'd you come up with that title? I love it. Like it's sassy, it's fun, it's just like
Right.
get it together.
I was speaking with a friend of mine, Fred Garrett, and we were kind of tossing around just kind of sayings, and I was like, you know, people need to stop playing around with their health, and it just kind of came up through our conversation. I was like, that's good because we need to get serious about our health.
Mhm.
Let's stop. Well, it's like most people know what healthy food is in general because everyone's like, oh, I need to eat my vegetables. Like, but let's be for real about it. So
Yeah.
that's what that came from. It's like, let's stop playing around and get serious.
It's very cool. Yeah, getting serious with healthy vegan recipes to prevent and reverse disease. Exclamation point. That's how you know you're serious.
Right.
But you got some banging options in here too.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you included photos of you on TV when my wife is interviewing you. Here's another one that probably doesn't taste healthy, but nourishes the body and soul, shall I say. Sesame tempeh sliders with sesame slow. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Always like to have the greens with that. Cabbage was something I ate a lot for helping reverse cancer. But tempeh, another whole protein source, complete protein that's very satisfying and fermented, so easy to digest.
All right. Now here's something that speaks to my southern heart. Savory raw collard green wraps. You've got to have the collard greens if you're from the South. I don't care
Right.
who you are.
Right.
It's a staple.
Yes.
Way to get
So
that.
yeah, that's a great one with a nut filling, and then the collards are great wraps, so it's gluten free and a lot of good fiber there as well.
Let's see, what else do we have? Must try mango chia seed pudding. All right, there you go. For people that have that sweet tooth.
Right.
Yeah.
Except the sugar's just coming from fruit here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. 10-minute raw.
That's a favorite.
10-minute raw taco. Now hold on. How are you gonna do a raw taco in 10 minutes?
It's quick. It's easy. That's the thing. I don't always want to spend like forever in the kitchen. So if you do need a food processor, if you got a food processor, that's a 10-minute dish.
Okay. Okay.
There's no cooking. So we're putting our walnuts in there, with cucumber, little shallots or red onions, seasoning, and sun-dried tomatoes to give it the texture. Hit pulse a few times, boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, and you're done.
Mm.
So it's like chili powder, cumin, you mix all that in there, a little lemon juice, and of course the cilantro, and it's done for you. So you could put that in a taco shell,
Yeah.
or you could put it, sometimes I've used like a coconut wrap or even a lettuce wrap. So it just depends. If you want it to be fully raw, you can use a coconut wrap, which is raw, or lettuce wrap, or put it in the taco shell and you don't miss a beat as it being taco meat. You could heat it if you wanted to, but it absolutely doesn't need that.
I remember the first time I was introduced to walnuts being taco made. This was well before I even went vegan. The woman who I was dating at the time, turned out to be like absolutely off the rocker. That's a story for another day. That's another podcast. But when she said like we're gonna have raw tacos, we're going to make this out of walnuts. I thought she was crazy. That should have been my first hint. But I mean, it was spot on.
Yeah.
Like you're talking to a former Taco Bell junkie, and I was like, what is
Yeah.
this?
That is a favorite recipe for so many people who tried that.
Yeah, man. Like, talk to us really quick as we wrap things up. Like, what is it about the health benefits of a walnut that maybe somebody doesn't necessarily know?
Right. So it's really good for brain health. Walnuts are. It's got good omegas as well. So it's one of the best nuts to eat to kind of ward off dementia and all those other things. You don't need a lot of it. A few 8 to 10 a day are really good. So it's very satisfying. It's very filling because it's got the natural fats. So you don't need to add any additional fat sources to the meal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's full of, antioxidants, all the good stuff.
Dig it. All right. So that is in the book too. And again, we've got the link to it down below. You can visit rubylathon.com to pick up your copy or just click that link down below. Very cool. Last question for you. Where do things stand now with the cancer? Do you still get your thyroid checked?
Yeah, over the years. I haven't lately, but I'm good. I'm feeling well, and I expect to continue to stay well.
I expect that you will. I expect that a lot of these recipes that I'm going to try are going to be delicious, including the walnut tacos. So,
Right.
Dr. Ruby Lathon, you are just a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I would like to invite folks to join my online community.
Yeah, talk to us about that really quick. So, I mean, again, this is something that's been a recurring theme of late on the show is just how powerful a community can be.
Mm-hmm.
That sense of belonging. And a lot of times when somebody's struggling with their health, you can feel awfully isolated. So talk to us about your community.
Yeah, so we just kicked it off. Today's like my first live session. So it's an online community that you join.
Mhm.
And every week there's a live session with me. We'll either be doing cook-alongs or I'll be showing you how I actually develop recipes. We'll be doing Q&A sessions. People love to have that. We'll be doing workshops on certain topics like fasting and immune boosting things. And also it's a community so you can interact with other people, which is something my clients have been asking for. Like, is there some, folks who have gone through some kind of recovery or something, want to interact with other people who are dealing with holistic approaches to life. So there's that. And then there's modules to help you create new habits. So I'm excited about it, kicking it off. So it's every week you get to interact with me, get your questions answered, learn a lot. So it's just a place for people to connect and get their health questions answered.
In an uplifting manner, no doubt. Seeing your personality shining, vibrant, putting the rubes out into the world.
Yes,
Heck yeah.
a healing community. So I'm excited about it.
I love it. Yeah. And again, links to everything down below.
Mhm.
And I wish you nothing but the best. I want to extend an invitation for you to come back on. I think that you are just a pleasure to talk to, and the world needs more Dr. Ruby Lathon.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anytime.